What's going on, everybody? Ryan Kennedy here again, and today we are on Lake Allatoona and it's late April. It's the last week of the month and we're out here and we're drop shotting bluff walls. And what I'm going to do is give a quick rundown on my equipment and kind of a quick how-to on how to drop shot bluff walls. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to throw in a montage of some of today's catches for you guys to enjoy. Now, the equipment that I'm using a St. Croix Mojo Bass drop shot rod. It's a spinning rod. You can see right there, it is a 610 medium light power, so really nice flexible tip, bends a good ways down the rod, not too long, and just enough for you to be able to get that fish out but still feel that extremely subtle bite that they can give you sometimes. And the reel I have it matched up with is an Ardent Sea-Force in the 2000 series. Has a great smooth drag. You really want a smooth drag when you're battling these fish on this light line. They can take dives right at the boat. It's mostly spotted bass. So when they come up to the boat, they've usually got about 1 or 2 more runs left in them and they're gonna head straight towards the bottom, and you need a smooth drag as to not break off. Let's talk about the line I'm using. I'm using Seaguar 8-pound and Vizex fluorocarbon. That's throughout the whole spool. I like to use braid to fluorocarbon leader on some of my spinning rods, but when I'm drop shotting, I prefer to have straight fluorocarbon on. Okay, so next up we have the actual drop shot rig. And that's what that looks like right there. You know, 10, 12-inch lead is what I've been using today. So as far as the hook goes, I'm using a Gamakatsu size 2 drop shot hook, as you can see right there. And I've tied it with a polymer knot. And the key thing with this polymer knot when you're drop shotting is the tag end is what becomes your leader at the end. And actually, after I'm done tying it, I take the line and stick it back through the eye of the hook and pull down tight, so that way your hook stands up like that and it keeps your bait elevated, so when the fish bites it, you can hook them in the roof or in the corner of the mouth in an area that you desire to hook them in. Now, after we get down to the leader, we go down to the weight. And the weight I'm using today is an Eco Pro Tungsten 3/8 ounce Brandon Polinick Signature Series drop shot weight. And that nice teardrop weight helps you because, you know, they always have the ball weights or the cylindrical weights, and those each have their pros and cons. The teardrop weight takes the pros of both and combines them into one weight. And you just clip it on your line, really simple. If it comes off, just clip another one on. All right, now that's the rig. What kind of bait am I using when I'm drop shotting? When I'm drop shotting, there's really 2 different styles of baits that I stick to. I stick to a smaller worm, like a robo worm, and the 4.5 inch or 6 inch model, depending on what they prefer. But today they're actually keying in on bait. So what's happening right now is, as some of you know, shad spawn on hard surfaces. It's something that usually happens more towards the morning. Can't happen later in the evening, but what happens is the shad, they find a really hard surface in that kind of like a 4 to 6 foot range where they usually hang out, and that's where they're spawning at. And the bass will be right behind them, waiting to ambush them as their prey. Now, that's what I've done. I found a really hard surface like a bluff wall, a really steep, hard, rocky clay bank, kind of what we're working on today. And what I'm drop shotting is a Zoom Tiny Fluke and Arkansas Shiner. It really mimics the bait fish well in this lake. There's usually they key in on some smaller bait here, and that's perfect with that bait. Really small bait. It has that nice back on it with the silver stomach on it. So how am I rigging it? What I do is very similar to the robo worm, is nose hooking. So either from the front or from the back, doesn't matter. And I'm just nose hooking the bait to where it's not exposed, and that's what it looks like from a side angle. And again, running that line back through the hook forces that bait to stand up, so when they bite it, they get the hook every time. And one other addition that I do before I hit the water with it, take my Liquid Mayhem bait fish scent, take it just a nice strip down the side, use the bottle to your advantage, just like that, and I'm good to go. Now, what I'm doing is I'm targeting little differences in the bank. And what I'm about to do is I'll set the camera in a different position and I'll go up and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, so you're not wasting your time running down the bank fishing every little inch of the bluff wall, because you could be being way more productive by hitting the HPAs, the high percentage areas on each bluff wall. So let's get up to a bluff wall and I'll show you how it's done. All right, so now that we're in front of a good looking bluff wall, what I'm gonna do is try to find the differences that make those HPAs, the high percentage areas. Now, in several places on this wall, there's little jut outs that create almost miniature points, like we would be fishing a longer point, fishing for bass, you know, in the deeper water. Other things that stick out to me on this bank, we have 2 laydowns right here, and those are the things you wanna look for. Some of the bare bank, they might have a fish on them, but if you go down a bank and hit your HPAs, you're more likely to catch more fish. So what I do is just grip it in my hand like that, flip my bail, basically like I'm flipping and pitching shallow cover, and there's a little point right there, and all I'm doing is I'm letting it fall to the bottom, and after I'm on the bottom right there, I'm just kind of shaking it, just small shakes, and it's slowly dragging that bait down the bank, and that little fluke tail's twitching every time I shake it. So if it gets in front of a bass, it's going to entice him and make him want to bite. Usually after it's a good ways off the bank, I reel it in and start to the next HPA. Just depends on what kind of depth they're in for that day. Gonna go right around these laydowns right here, right on the outside edge. Trying not to get caught up with this light line, but sometimes it happens. An example right here. What I like to do if it gets snagged up is I'll just kind of loosely shake it. You want to try not to bury that hook in too deep. And if you can shake it free, comes up, rig's still good to go. And that's just part of it. If you're not in an area where you can get hung up, you're probably not going to be around where the bass are, because they're going to relate to some kind of cover. And you need to be able to get in there. It's just a bait. You can always buy another one or retie another one, and you want to get your chance at that fish. It could be the fish that wins you a tournament, or just could even be your new personal best. You never know. So I'm going to flip at this point right here. Just kind of shake it down with the small little twitches. It's going to ride right along those rocks and just kind of slither in between them. And now what you want to do when you do get a bite, it's not like I'm flipping a jig up in the stumps where I'm cracking it, giving it everything I've got, because I will break off if that happens. So what happens is they'll bite it down there, and if you've ever been deep sea fishing with a circle hook, or any kind of fishing with a circle hook for that matter, it's fairly similar. You're kind of reeling into them, and you want to get that hook point started with that reel, and then when you feel tension, you're really just kind of leaning back on them. You're not stepping back and cracking them like a jig or anything like that. It's kind of a soft hook set, but it's a very positive hook set. Like, it's still going to drive it through the roof of their mouth. There's one right there. Now what I did there is I reeled it up until I got tension on him, and then applied more pressure by leaning back. Now if he's not that big, you can usually boat flip him like that. If they are a little bit bigger, then you have to do a little bit more work and get down after them. Let me get this fish here. There's look, and that's how I drop shot. You know, I go down the bank, find those little differences in the bank, we'll let him go, and you will get rewarded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a quick montage of some of today's catches at the end of this right here, and as soon as I close this out, I'll also put the release of the biggest fish I caught drop shotting today, do a quick underwater release. And I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you learned something. Definitely go out on the water and give it a try. It can be very effective on spotted bass and largemouth and smallmouth. They'll all hit a drop shot. But bluff walls are key. Many people overlook bluff walls, or they're intimidated by, I mean, there's miles and miles of bluff wall bank, but people don't know how to break it down, and you're looking for those HPAs. That's what you need to take away from this video, is you're looking for the high percentage areas. And go out on the water, find those, drop shot with a nice rig, and you will catch fish. That's quite quick and simple, just like that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Please like and comment as well. Please tell your friends about my channel, and I really appreciate all the support and you guys watching. And enjoy the montage, and God bless.
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.